Yeah, hello and welcome everybody to this Society of Floating Solutions Singapore webinar event. The people are coming in one by one, so I'm both talking and clicking here at the same time. But in any case, I'm Stefan Hübner from NUS, a council member of the society and responsible for organizing this webinar series. And I will also moderate today's event. And with me is Charlie Lim, the vice president of the society, who is helping with the seminar. The title of today's talk is Waterfront Development with Floating Wellness and Spa Solutions. And I'm very happy to welcome today's presenter, Tytti Sirola. Tytti is CEO and co-founder of Bluet, a Finnish company founded in 2016, which specializes in waterfront development with floating solutions. One of their main areas of work is the design and implementation of floating pools and floating infrastructure solutions. For those of you who live in Singapore or have visited in the city, you know that the hot and humid climate here means that we have a lot of interest in swimming pools. So this topic is very fitting, just to throw this in. Among other projects, Bluet realized the world's largest infinity pool that was delivered to Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Lake Como in Italy. And recently they finished projects that include waterfront development projects in Gothenburg and Norrköping in Sweden. The future of water sports and waterfront recreation is floating, it seems. And you can find more information at bluet.fi. And now a few administrative remarks before we start. Tytti will give her talk, which is followed by the Q&A questions and answer session. But please feel free to ask your questions in chat or use the Zoom raise hand function during her presentation. She's very happy to answer them on the go. And we're also recording the talk, as you noticed when you joined. So Tytti, we are very happy and grateful to have you with us today and to hear more about Bluet's innovative projects. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Charles, and thank you everyone who's joined the webinar. I'm really happy to share you a little bit about us and our products and way of working and how we can do waterfront development together. And like Stefan said, I'll be happy to answer questions also on the go, so it doesn't have to be a monologue. So please feel free to ask any questions if you have in between. But going here now, starting the presentation. And first of all, the program a little bit. So first of all, I'm going to talk about just slightly touch the needs and solutions and the benefits of waterfront development with floating solutions. So why we actually do the floating solutions. That's the first topic. Then I'm going to actually talk a little bit about us and show you our references, why we are talking about these issues and what we have actually implemented, designed and implemented. I'm going to give you 3 case examples, 2 about floating pools, one the Lake Como, what Stefan mentioned, then one in Ala-Sea pool in Helsinki, and then also touching the infrastructure project, which is a floating housing area case in Helsinki, Finland. And like I said, we also have a question and answer session at the end, but you can also definitely, like we said, ask in between. Why we actually, like I said, there's actually, when we talk about waterfront development, there's this definition we found, what is waterfront development actually about. So everyone knows it's a part of the town. Sounds really simple that we actually can do something at the waterfront, but it's really complex, and we have studied this for now several years, and it's not actually so easy just going over the edge to the water. So it actually needs a lot of planning and also strategic thinking to actually start designing something to the waterfront. It can include a combination, and we definitely emphasize this, that it's a combination of traditional construction and the new solutions. So we usually talk about a hybrid solution. So you can have the traditional construction on land and then the new solutions on water. And it's not necessarily anymore just about this kind of industrial or infrastructure use. It's also recreational, and that's what we emphasize today: the spas and the wellness and sports facilities. We also find out that the reasons for waterfront development is what the definitions we can find around the world is that there is this kind of economic developments, there's flood prevention is a lot on the table all the time. It's about relocating and daylighting and connecting existing areas. So there's a lot of reasons you can find why the waterfronts are developed. We try to simplify it to just few different words, which is lack of land. That's basically the reasons why we go over the edge, because we need to find, especially in the urbanized areas, we need to actually find new areas to build, so get new permitted building volume. We need to find more waterfront, but when it's built, we have to go over the edge, and it's also then finding new cost-effective solutions for the construction. Landfilling or is pretty expensive in several areas, so this floating construction can be also very cost effective in several areas. There's multiple possibilities. These are pretty much the text slides I have over here in the presentation. Then I'm going to concentrate on images and pictures, but basically just giving also the short idea in writing that there are so many possibilities when you do floating construction and talking about the business solutions. You can combine different business facilities, talking about community stores and leisure facilities, sports, like the pools, spas, restaurants, marina utilities. So there's so much we can combine. The floating construction and floating solution, they're very much focused on the floating housing part. And we of course understand because there's multiple reasons for that. But there is also other stuff than also not only the accommodation and the housing parts. So we can go to the recreational, opening the waterfronts to the habitants, to the tourists, not just to the people who would actually live there, but just for several kind of usage. So it's attractions creating for tourists, but also the people who actually live on the city. Lack of land sounds pretty funny actually when you look at the world map, because there's a lot of land, but people actually gather to the waterfront. Many of the urban cities and the largest cities are at the waterfront, so that's why we need to expand, and we have a lot of areas we can use in the future for future real estate development. Here's just some of the examples you can create. There's spa solutions, there's housing solutions, villas, sports facilities, marinas combined, heated year-round uses, hotel villas. So just few examples for these solutions. But the main thing is what we're talking about, the benefits of these solutions is the business value. And the business value comes for not just the operators, but it's of course the investors and especially the cities and the landowners. So you actually get the operational cash flow, you get lease from the water area. Every single project also needs some of the land area. So there's also the land area lease and then the facility lease. So we would like to, in the future, have the situation that floating solutions could really be considered as a real estate development project and real estate development case, so that we would get investors to consider floating construction and floating solutions as an option next to the traditional construction and next to the traditional investment options. This is pretty much what we are targeting in the future. Then I'm just going to show you some slides what we have, what you can do with these floating solutions. So we have these before and after pictures of some of the cases and also a good example why we are actually doing this. This is where we actually started from. This is a case called from the Gibraltar. This is a floating pavilion, which Marine Tech already did in 2013 and 14. There was a very, very bad shoreline with a rocky shoreline, which was pretty much dangerous for the swimming. And nowadays, it was created to a floating swimming arena. with an outdoor gyms and everything. So this created a safe swimming spot, but also then actually a new leisure facility for people and the tourists. And you can see the happy face also for a swimmer from a user. So this is a good example of totally new kind of waterfront with a floating solution. Then we have a very good example, and probably one of our best known references, Alla Sea Pool in Helsinki. On the top right, you can see what it looked like before. This is a total heart of the city of Helsinki, next to the presidential palace, and the place was used, the land area was used as a parking area before. And now you can see from the 3 other pictures what it has been changed to into within floating solutions. And what this also shows that there's so much space used on the land water area, there would have not been any possibility to put that all on land. So truly lack of land has been also the reason why here this was expanded to water. Then this is also a case in Finland, in Helsinki, next to one of the busiest harbors in the Nordic areas, and probably one of the busiest also in Europe. There's also going to be housing area. There's already a new development area. There's a lot of housing coming, and then there's going to be a multi-use concept on land, like this 5,000 square meters of hotels and offices. And also we're going to build here a spa, floating spa with pools and restaurants and saunas to the waterfront, with also then a beach, which a city is building over there. And this is the same thing, not enough space on land to build this. Not an urban area, but a really good example also how it can be changed. This is a project in Iceland. On the right, you can see, top right, you can see very silent natural-based location where small inland lake. And this is what it changed to. They have a spa on land, spa building on land, and then they have 2 thermal floating pools on the water. Totally different experience than just the traditional spa on land. But this has brought totally a unique spot to this area as well. And then one of this latest project, Lake Como, what we did over here was that we replaced the old pool. They had an old floating pool over there, and now we have replaced it with a new one. And this is the largest floating infinity pool in the whole world. So you can also see what could have been done. And also the same thing could have not been done on the land at all, because they have they have a spa beneath the land, like in the basement. So there is no space on land to build this. So this is also a definite reason why it has been built on water. So just to give you some examples what we can do with these floating solutions. Then why we are talking about this. So now touching a little bit what Bluet does. We are a company who concentrates only and 100% on floating construction. And like Stefan said, we have been founded in 2016. And we have these own product concepts, which are floating pools and floating infrastructure. And that's actually how we pretty much expand from the floating pool also to the spa and wellness solution. We don't do anything else. We do the floating construction. That's why we are so uniquely specified to this construction. And here's for example an example of the Helsinki Allas. It's just not about the pools. There's also 1,600 square meters on land. There's the infrastructure part. We have several infrastructure solutions we deliver, always designed project specific. So, and we also, the infrastructure is related that we bring everything we bring to the land, we also bring to the water. So it's not just about pontoon, it's also all the infra needs, the water, sewages, electricity, anchoring. And the foundation is something you're not allowed to say, because when you have a good foundation, then you have a good project and a safe and sound house also then on water. And on the right, you have a good example of a combination. There's now the pools, there's the infrastructure with a restaurant, saunas, spa, and a wellness concept. So we actually bring everything together in one with our collaborators. And one maybe important thing to mention that we're not a company who builds the buildings, because there's several companies who can do that, but this is how we collaborate with other companies, that we don't compete with the architects, we don't compete with the real estate developers, nor MEP designers or project managers, nor house manufacturers. We collaborate them because there's also so much knowledge in the world that we don't have to invent the wheel again. So we bring our niche knowledge to these areas and then collaborate with several different kind of companies around the world. And if there's any questions in between and you want to stop me for a while, just let me know. Here's some of the references. And like I said before that, we are a company who designs and delivers our own products. So basically we run the whole project. We can design and engineer the whole project from the beginning to the end, from the zero level below. So like I said, we're not building the houses, but we supervise the house designs. We work with the local designers, we work with the local architects, we work with the local technical designers to bring our own niche know-how to the project. But here's some of the pool projects, here's housing projects, here's floating decks, there's floating sports fields. Our main areas we have worked on is the Nordic countries and in Europe, but we also now have projects coming up from the US area, starting projects from the Middle East. So we are pretty much also expanding, hopefully soon also to then having projects in Singapore too.
Wonderful. May I actually interrupt you, as you mentioned, because we have 3 questions in chat. I will quickly read the first one. I mean, you all can also read if you want to. What are typically the points of friction with decision makers to install floating structures? How do you convince the decision makers and overcome these? Good
question. Basically this, what I just said before, that the design is the most important thing, that we actually this is the thing that we want to join the team in the beginning with the architects, so that we can say that we actually try to save the client's money when we can join the project in the very beginning. And we actually convince the clients that we want to study the whole area and also the whole project, because every site is different. So you cannot actually bring a floating infrastructure from a pocket to a site. You have to every time, modify it a little bit to be a project specific. When we come there from the beginning and we do the same study for the water area, we want to have the same study for the water areas done in the land construction. You have to have a ground survey on the land site. We have to have a water area survey on the water side, so that we don't design blind. After that, we start comparing the different kind of structures, because we have modular units, like modular concrete units, mega pontoon units. We even can use the steel structures. We convince them with value engineering parts, so that we actually compare different kind of structures, so that they are very, very compatible to that specific location. This is something which is maybe also the decision makers hard to understand, that like I said, you cannot just say that if we have some kind of foundation solution, you cannot just bring it to the next one. You always have to study it as on land side. You cannot build anything blind. And then also there's a real sales value, especially with the concrete pontoons. That's one big investment decision-making option, that if you have to, for example, you have just a temporary location, for example, for 20, 30 years, you can transfer solution to another place. You can then also resell them, for example, the pontoons. They can be, if you have a modular unit on top of the foundation, you can dismantle the building and then reuse the pontoons That's really one important in the decision making. And then the environmental friendliness. We always say that if you, for example, don't need any dredging on the water area, after 20 years, if you have to transport everything away, no one can see that you actually been there. But design is everything. That's basically the issue, and the safetiness is everything. And that's why we want to study thoroughly that we can create a safety solution. That's maybe one thing. Then there was, did that answer your question?
I think it answered. We can double check with Jean-César afterwards. He posted 2 more, so maybe we can first come to the next.
Yeah, one. How many years are municipality to break even? And this is the how many years for our municipality to break even on such investments, such as a swimming pool. This is, of course, a case of what kind of pool you're delivering over there. A natural water pool is a lot cheaper than a heated pool solution. Heated pool might cost like 2.5 million euros or more. Natural water pool depends on how big you can, from 500,000 euros to 2 million euros. There's a big gap in between how big you are. And also a difference, of course, several public swimming pools don't even have a ticket sales. Then it's not actually like investment. When you get money back, it's maybe just a tourist attraction or a public use. But usually we calculate, usually the investors want the investment back in 8 to 10 years. So that's usually the most case. 5 years might be too short, but it totally depends on what size the case is and what else do you have on site. Usually just the pool is not necessarily the best. If you just have the pool is not the best way to get the investment back. But if you have other facilities also on the side, that's then a combination. And have you worked in not rich countries? You mean, for example, in these developing countries, like in Africa? Was that something you meant? Yeah, no, not yet. We have actually, because we have pretty much targeted certain areas first, also as a learning point, because in Indonesia, Bangladesh, not yet. Indonesia has been on the table several times, but the project has not yet started. And over there, it has been more about the hotel villa solutions, not that much about pool solutions, which we actually would want to emphasize that, for example, with the natural water pools, we could create swimming facilities to the areas where the water is very polluted and very trashy, so we could filter the water and create new swimming facilities. So that what we would actually wish to emphasize and create those kind of solutions over there, but not yet. Hopefully we could come there soon at some point.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go what page I was on, sorry. But good questions, and I'm just gonna go back to the slide where it was. Okay, some more references over here. Maybe also more about the spa projects. We have spa project, like I said, that the pool is just one thing of the overall solution. For example, these Swedish projects over here, we have 3 pools, but the main thing is that we are actually working also with the spas, and there's a spa and a sauna lounge, private sauna over there, and there's a hotel on the shoreline. This is a company called Bongo we work with, who we also do this spa solutions. So, but just wanted to show you these multiple options. This is a public pool project in Sweden. Also, one key issue over here, not just the new structures of the pools, but also we also used an old pool over here. We renovated and used the old pool over here. So that's something we can also do. The ecological issues and the reuse of old materials are very, very important to us as well. But And this is also a natural water pool, what I was just saying to Jean Cesar's question, that these natural water pools are something which we truly emphasize on. There's different kind of natural water pools. You can have the non-filter solutions, which is good when you have a good water quality around the area. That's an easier thing to do. But when you have a bad water quality around, we can filter the water and create swimming facilities to areas where otherwise you cannot swim, even if you have a very traffic around or something like that. But that's a good example of that. But basically about the process is that we wish to come in an early stage so that we can, like I said, save the client's money, and what Jean Cesar just asked there, to study properly, because when we have a moving element between below us, it's really, really important to study everything properly and have all the water sites conditions, and local rules and regulations are very, very important to know, because even though there's a lot of general rules and regulations globally, swimming arena regulations or even building regulations, they vary a lot. So as soon as we can get into the project, the sooner we can also then offer more knowledge and support the invest option. One of the most important thing is that we also offer the life cycle services. So we offer all the maintenance manuals and training for the local staff, training for the local maintenance company, and then we stay there after the handouts that we supervise the local company and actually help them to main the new solution, which is, there's of course a lot of different issues to maintain in the floating structure than having a swimming pool on land. Okay, then I know everyone's always interested about the technology, how we do this. So I picked here, like I said in the beginning, 3 project examples over here. Just give you short description what kind of technology we have used over here, how we have built them. Lake Como floating pool is a customized heated floating pool, and like said, this is the location. You can see also the lack of land area on the hotel unit over here. What is special in this pool is it has a 40-meter infinity edge, never done before, as a floating structure. The total area is 600 square meters, so it has the pool and the sun deck, 14 times 15 total. There was a very, very famous architect company working, Hurst de Moron, who actually did the architectural design, and then there was also the local contracting team who did, for example, partnered up with the anchoring. There was a company who did the stone cladding for the steel structures. We manufactured it in Finland, and then we transferred it there by trucks. A 2-year project, basically 1 year for design, 1 year for the manufacturing and installation works. What's special about it is that there's 3 containers, underwater containers. It's a catamaran structure made of 13 steel containers. And then 3 containers include actually technology. 1 is the pool technology, and then 2 is then these storage facilities for we have a lifts over there, so you can actually use it for the sunbeds and umbrellas to storage them underwater. It was built in one place. All the models were installed on water, and then it was towed around the lake to the final location where all the works were there finalized with the local team. And here you can see also the stone cladding coming up. And this is how it looks at the end. So everything over here was pretty much, when Bluet starts working with a project like this, we always start working on the standard solutions, but we then a lot have to customize, and this was pretty much a customized project in every aspect. And then we also have to take the transportation into consideration in the beginning, so we get all the cost effectiveness to the best level. A different pool project, more customized one, but still also a more standard one, but also has customization. This is also one of a kind. It has 3 pools in one, and so basically this is a hybrid solution where there's a combination of a natural water pool then still heated pool, and then children's pool, and then there's a barge pool. This is and there's also a combination of unique foundation structures. We have concrete pontoons there, and then we have steel structures. Location is also very, as you can see, heart of the city, so it couldn't be totally built over here. So the barge was then also towed from another location. But what's unique in this place is that it's a 365 days open facility. Our sea pool operates every single day. And you can see the uniqueness over here in the bottom picture. The heated pool has a 27-degree temperature year round, and that's an experience when you go there on a -20 degrees day and you jump into the heated pool. But you can also see that there's a lot of other facilities in the area. So when we talk about these business solutions, you have on land, you have a lot of restaurants and activity areas, and then the saunas, but then the pools are on land because there was, again, no space for them on land. So it consists of like I said, 2 heated pools and then a natural water pools, and the floating area is in total 2,700 square meters. Here you can see the difference in the structures. So the end structure here is the barge structure, which was built in a shipyard. Nowadays, we have a new solution also for that, because if you're not in a sea location where you can actually tow the solution through the sea, we can then actually, like the Lake Como one was built from modules and then installed on the water separately. But this one was towed by the sea. Inside the barge, you have the technical space, full pool technology inside, and then you can actually also walk around the pool. The second platform here is made of concrete, and then you have one heated pool on the concrete platform. Then you have only a concrete deck over here, just as an additional space. And then you have the last one, which is also a concrete deck and the natural water pool space over there. So here are some of the side pictures. You can see how that's been built. So the natural water pool has also been built from modular units, and then the barge was towed to the location and then connected to the whole site. And this is actually also how you can see now you can over here see some renovation updates we have done over here. They wanted to have additional sauna facilities over here. So what we did over here a year and a half ago was that we made the natural water pool a bit smaller, and then we built a new infrastructure for the new saunas over here on the left bottom side. You can see the floating saunas over there. So we built a new infrastructure to them so that they could use the deck space also then to the new saunas. There's one question.
Yeah, interrupt you. There are two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what maintenance procedures are required to ensure the longevity to the structure? Good question, Marco. Thank you for that. There's a difference if you have a steel structure, concrete structure, pool technology, and like I said, that we deliver all the maintenance manuals. So there are different kind. If you have a concrete pontoon foundation, sorry, if you have a concrete pontoon foundation, then they are pretty maintenance free. They don't need pretty much maintenance. But for example, we recommend that if you have a very icy site or rough conditions because of waves or something, we recommend that, for example, the anchorings and the connections are checked once a year after the ices melt. The pools, of course, require similar kind of maintenance than that on land. You have to have a robot, for example, a robot cleaner inside the pool. You have to change filters. You have to, of course, check the nozzles and everything like that. So pools are pretty much the same maintenance routines than you have on land. Then we recommend, for example, over here in our sea pool, the divers go to check this facility outside. I think it's like 3 times a year, before the summer, after the summer, and then once during the end of autumn, or then after the winter time, you know, just get all the algae and everything like that away from also the structure outside. But basically there are daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly maintenance works, but it varies a lot what kind of solution you have. And the inspections also then vary, because you have an automation systems for the pool technology. Of course, there's a lot of just automated systems and not much have to do for that, but of course basically you have to have physical inspections as well. I could talk an hour about that, but I don't think I have time for that. But we give all these instructions in every project.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, then this infrastructure housing case also in Helsinki, and why I wanted to bring this up, even though it's not a spa and a wellness case, but because there's also a combination over here, and you can see it's a marina pier up front over here. That's due to that we need to have a water attenuator, wave attenuator over there to secure the site. So what's a combination over here is combining marina facilities and housing facilities together. It can definitely be done also with the hotel or other accommodation units or spas, wellnesses, restaurants. One important key thing is that you have to have an access with the boat. Boaters want to have the access to reach these facilities. And then there's also now where we have the marina over here, there's the clubhouse. The clubhouse can be used for tourists and people not living there, but also, for example, over here, how it has been combined. It has combined so that the habitants who are actually buying a house over there can then use this facility for gatherings and saunas and then renting sports facilities and like that. So it's definitely important to think not just the housing, but a community, how everything can be joined together. This is also, you can see the location. It's a totally new development area in Helsinki. And so there's going to be a lot of apartment buildings on water, and this is going to be, I would say, the most interesting housing project in Finland and in the Nordic countries for a while, and we are really looking forward to it. It has been a very, very long project. As we all know, these projects take a long time. There's a lot of housing project because the permitting takes a while and the environmental permits and everything. Here, the case was mainly about the land construction, the land area. It was a very big project because there was like polluted land area, which they had to actually change everything. So we have been waiting for the time to actually get the access over there. And because you cannot actually build a floating area if you don't have access, you have to have the shorelines and the quay lines, the quays ready anyway. That's one important thing. Floating construction always needs some space on land, so you pretty much cannot have a totally independent solution. Parking spaces and gangways and walkways and everything like that. Here's just an image of the site. Now there's already houses being built over there, and we hope that we're going to actually get this thing running by the end of this year. It's a fairly big project. 40 houses probably in total, but actually we are covering about half of it, and which means that there's actually 32 apartments, because there's some of these houses have 2 or 3 or even 4 apartments in one unit. This is a very, very important also to the city. We know that city has been very, very helpful with this. The permitting is very difficult because it's also in Finland that the authorities don't know what they're actually giving permits to, because it's a new area, the floating construction. And this is something that we also now have been getting a lot of examples of what we can take then elsewhere, how we have done it here, how it can be done elsewhere, because in several areas, there's no permitting procedure for the floating construction. And we have been now learning a lot from these, and hopefully can then also give examples to other areas how we can solve several of these also technical issues, but as well the permitting issues globally. Here's some example of the sites. Modular construction is very important when you do a floating housing project, or even restaurant, spa, hotel accommodation, whatever, because you have a moving element below. So it's really important to use the modular construction and prefabricated structures so that the site is then a lot easier to handle, and then the balancing of the whole infrastructure is a lot easier during the construction. Here's just several examples of different kind of projects we have been working on. This is a restaurant and a spa project. These two are then either private house or a showroom and this kind of marina facility. Anchoring, like I said in the beginning, that we analyze the project so that we're not saying that it's going to be chain anchoring. The waterside study can say that it is Dual-Docker chain combination, or it's then a pile anchoring or C-flex. There's a lot of options in these, and they can also be a hybrid solution. So this we also then study thoroughly. We bring the bridges, the infrastructures, what we need to the project, and there's a lot of options also for these facilities. But basically, like I said, that the fact is that everything has to be brought what we need on land. And we use mega pontoon structures, we use steel structures, modular concrete structures, and then we can also come to the pontoons with different shapes. Under housing, we recommend the concrete because it's most maintenance free. Steel we use when we go into we need different shapes, and then if the conditions are rougher, for example, in the Allas Seapool case, the barge structure is actually covering the concrete structures from the waves. Charles is also asking a question here: has any of these floating structure received certification from classifications of society? If not, how are these being insured? Very good question. We have been asked in the projects, for example, CE certificates. We don't have them because there's not a harmonized standard for the floating construction. We are strongly aiming to do that, and we really wish that we could join these forces with these research institutes and also other parties to create, because when we get these kind of harmonized standards and certificates, that's when we're going to get a lot of more projects. And going back to was it Jean Caesar's question, this is one thing also which can then more actually guarantee the investors that they are actually truly studied, analyzed. But we, for example, we use this research center called VTT in Finland, which is one of it is a really big research and institute, governmental owned research and development institute. We go to tank tests, for example, so that we test this, because we don't have the certificates. We truly have to prove the client that they have been tested. We do the calculations, and we even might do a scale model test so that we can prove, because we don't have these certifications for this. So this is something we need to emphasize and bring actual proof to the client several times in these projects. And I think we could also be in the benefit of joining the forces, because we also know the bad things, because we have done this, so we have also learned from mistakes. This is also something which always needs to be emphasized, that it has been a learning curve. I would say that we have learned a lot during the years, and I think that it's really important to share this kind of information with the other parties who design and study and analyze these projects, so that we could actually bring all these knowledge together.
Okay, thank you.
But that was pretty much running that up. But I'm really glad to answer questions and tell you more about these, whatever you're interested in.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is now the official Q&A. I have a couple of questions. If others also have, then I mean, many of you have already asked, but feel free to either unmute and ask yourself or post in chat. One question that I have is actually the potential use in areas that are also used, for example, for floating solar power generation, water sports areas, and so on. So how do you actually make these structures very accident proof? This is more about keeping distance, or can you also, in terms of the materials, work on that? And also one sub question is, what would you actually do in an area with sharks? I presume you would fence off the area, as this is usually the case. But is there also some with the structure itself shark proof?
The shark, I'll take the shark question first, because that was a good one, and this is where I'm talking about then these natural water pools. That's definitely because the shark areas is truly the thing that if you have a shark area, you have to have a safe swimming zone area, and this is how we can create it with these, because if you for example just want to have the swimming facilities, because they have walls, they have the bottom and they have a wall, so you have a truly safe area to swim with. That's something, and that's something which can be done. It also, of course, keeps all the other stuff out as well, but this is how we can create safe, so because it's not just a hole in the water, it's truly having walls and bottom and a fixed one. So but the water flows back and forth. If the water is clean enough, we just use the water. It has a small holes in it, so water goes back in and out. But then if the water needs to clean, it has the inner liner and then the filtering system. But that's definitely done. Was the other question the accident proof? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to show you another example about that, because that was also a good question. I'll take this picture. One of the reasons, one of the reasons why this was why Alla Sea Pool made these new saunas was that hang on, where is it? Here. There was we have a lot of projects where marina or a harbor is nearby, and with one port or authorities actually asked us, how can you prevent the ship if the captain is drunk? So how can you prevent that they don't run over the floating pool? Well, if you have a Queen Elizabeth, which is like 300 meters long, you just have to say nothing. I mean, you just have to have alarms and people have to get out, because if that comes on the shoreline, it's gonna break the shoreline as well. And this is what happened over here in Alla Sea Pool. A ship crashed over here to this area, broke the quay, and actually broke also some of the foundations of the house. And the saunas were not in use. That's why they also wanted to have the new saunas on the platform. So basically, for these kind of issues, there's fixed breakwater is one thing. Of course, if there's a really traffical area, fixed breakwater is one thing. Floating wave breakwater is a wave attenuator is not going to prevent, but alarm systems give you time, same as in anywhere else. That's definitely an issue. Safety distance we have to have. We always, even if you have a small marina, we have to have safety distances, and this is what we do when we design new areas. We always, if you have a boat on a ferry line or boat line, something going past, we have to have enough safe distance over there. And then there's some barriers we can build, of course, to them. So there's a lot of we can do. One really important issue with the floating foundation is that when we use the concrete foundations, what we build, they are unsinkable solutions. That's why we also emphasize the concrete one, because when you have airspace underneath the water, for example, if you use a steel structure, that's always creates a risk. Our pontoons has EPS inside, so they are unsinkable, and that's why we also recommend them under the floating houses and these kind of solutions. So that's also one accident-proof design issue.
Okay, thanks a lot. This to a certain degree also connects to a couple more questions that we have in chat now. Maybe you can have a look and can answer CMs, and then
yes.
Jean César has a couple more, also one more, but I mean, maybe just start with them.
Yeah, what are the motion criteria for designing floating houses to ensure occupants' comfort? This is a really good question. There's no standard either for that, and this is something we are also working on. At the moment, we are trying to create these standards and these kind of numbers, because this is actually a really truly personal thing. The English word is really, really difficult. If Maria is listening, translate that to me. It's like tasapainoaisti, which is like the balancing, what I can't remember what it's in English. That's a personal thing. If you are a really sensitive person, don't move to a floating house. Don't go to a floating hotel villa, because it will always move a little bit. I mean, it's a fixed structure if you build it on piles. But if you have an pile anchoring, or you have a C-flex anchoring, chain anchoring, it's not a fixed structure and it will move a little bit. But the criteria is because there's not actually any standards for floating houses at the moment. So for example, with VTT, they have used standards from shipbuilding industry and the cruise line industry. Where is the level for when people are actually starting to feel seasickness? So we use that at the moment, actually, because there's not any. And I'm not sure if you can truly have one single one, because it's a personal thing. Hopefully that answered to your questions. How big of a structure can you build that is rigid? Well, one of the biggest we have been studying is 10,000 square meters. So that's the biggest one we've been designing. And now, for example, there is a problem, and that can be done more easily. You might have either one big mega pontoon, or then you can have, like over here in Helsinki, you can have these different structures. The problem comes when you want to have, for example, we have now one project where there's a client wants to have like a very, very large one-story building, which is like a very, very large, and exactly what you're saying, that you would need to have some flexibility joints in between. So then you have to find different solutions for that, because the best thing always would be that usually in the history we said that 30 meters is the best, and then after every 30 meters you would have a flexible joint, so you would have some kind of break-even point over there, that then you would have half a meter gap, some kind of gangway between the house walls, for example. But with the mega pontoon, we can go bigger. With the steel pontoon, we can go bigger. And now we have done that. And what we do, make your joints with, there's bolting systems, and but this is something I'm gonna make our engineers to tell you from, because we have also some kind of new patented systems for those. We have created new pontoon systems. So there's like cables, and then there's bolts and joints. So there's different systems, again, depending on what we have. Superstructure actually defines how we're going to actually do the foundation. We have to know the building first, how much the building weighs, how big it is, how high it is, where the waypoints are. After that, we design the foundation. Cannot go the other way around, because then the foundation might not be strong enough and stable enough, and then might not have enough floating capacity. So it comes following the superstructure. Standard plastic pontoon blocks, not much plastic. Plastic we use if we have a very, very calm pond location, for example, and lightweighted solution. We have partners who do the plastic pontoon blocks, but they are like for the lightweighted solutions, smaller villas, smaller saunas. But we have designed these blocks also from concrete, smaller blocks so that we can create more different kind of shapes. This is something we had also applied a patent for. And the most green flotation material one can use, why? That's a good question. As a maintenance point of view and a lifespan view, we would say concrete. But then we know that concrete is probably not, if we talk about the manufacturing part and these kind of green calculations nowadays. There's a green concrete plan in the future, and then we might get the concrete also manufacturing to be more environmental friendly. But as a usage, as an operational point of view, and then lifespan view, and also real sales value, I would probably say that pontoon at the moment, concrete pontoon is probably at the moment anyway. Marco, thank you. Sense of balance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think I can throw in my next question here. So I was wondering about experiences with relocation of these structures. I was thinking, for example, in the future about potential sporting events for which they could be used. And then after the event, I mean, very often you have the problem, you have a lot of infrastructure that you maybe don't necessarily need at a specific place. And at least this case here, how difficult would it be to relocate to a different part of the city, to a different part of a harbor, for example? I presume it's not too difficult, but maybe you can give us some ideas here.
A really, really good question. Thanks for that. This is one of the biggest issues we want to actually emphasize, that they can be relocated. And when you start this kind of new development area, there's the floating solutions are actually really good option in the beginning, because if you start from, you could have like a long shoreline which you develop, and you start from one point, so you can actually bring additional facilities, like you said, sporting facilities, the pools or something over there to that part. But as the city and the waterfront enlarges, and the development, but the construction continues, you can also enlarge the floating structure, or actually even transfer it to the other side later on. There's of course a permitting issue over here. You have to make sure that you have the permit also to then move it other way. This just has to be taken into consideration in the design phase. You have to know that it's not necessarily so easy if you would have to dismantle, anchoring points, or if you would, for example, if you have a very large structure, you might have to separate it, for example, to a two structure, but you can basically tow it. We don't recommend to tow on an open sea. There was, when we did our first house in 2015, the house manufacturer had an idea that he would have towed the house from Finland to Sweden. And I said, no, you're not going to do that, because there's still an open sea over there. So that's a too long way. But basically, we have done it, you can do that for several kilometers. You just have to have a very calm, you have to check that there's no big ferries, just going by, or you have to check the wind conditions and wave conditions so that you have a good weather. But it can be done. And like the enlargement thing is really important, that you can start from a small one. When you see the operations are growing, the demand is growing, you can bring additional facilities, next to you. You can have like the paddle field first, then you can bring a restaurant on the side, you can bring sauna next to that. So we actually have a new project in Germany at the moment, where we have designed to the client this kind of very big spa solution. They're just starting from the pool first, but we hope that they're actually going to take the whole large concept and the whole idea with that was that we're going to design the spas and the other pools, the 4 smaller pools, as modular blocks. We can just then bring it in along with how they want to expand. So that's also what we're going to take into consideration in an early stage when we start doing the first phase. So yes, that can be done, but just has to take into consideration already in the beginning.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks a lot. Last time people can ask questions. I count down from 5 to 0. If I don't see anything, then I think we are 3 minutes over time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, yeah, then I'm clapping in the name of the muted audience. This was an extremely interesting presentation. As I mentioned, I mean, for me living here in Singapore, it's really fantastic to see all these possibilities. I would not really want to swim here in the water outside. Admittedly, I've done this before, but at least you don't want to get it into your mouth. So in any case, I think if you manage to expand into Singapore, I think people would take this up very well. And yeah, it was great to hear about also the possibilities for the floating houses. So yeah, I wish you all the best, and yeah, thank you again in the name of the audience and of the society for sharing all this. And the people are also thanking you in chat, as you can see. So
thank you everyone as well. And it's like I said, I can talk days about this. So if you want to know more, just let us know, because we are really enthusiastic about what we do. This is a passion, truly, and we really wish to share a lot of information if you want. And please contact me whenever you want, and we'll definitely give you more information anytime you need. So
yeah, I posted the website in the chat, but I think you can also Google bluet.fi. So yeah, check it out. Contact her. So yeah, great. So I think that's the end of the event. So goodbye, everybody. Have a good day, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. And for the next one, probably in January or February. So
great. Okay, see you all then in January. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.